Mm. Because in my mind now, because I was working as the imam that time. This is my first experience dealing with people like this, right? And I
People
started
that have mental
noticing there's
health,
a lot of people like this in the community, especially in the black community. You
people
know,
that have mental health issues.
Mm. They
You
stay
saying
come to
people?
the match.
You saying
They come to
people
the
like
match.
this?
Like her, I mean, her case, in her case, I don't want to mention because she be cursing me out. She be inboxing me sometimes,
Alhamdulillah.
but she be cursing me out. But I had met other people's in her same scenario, same situation. But at the time, working as the imam, think about it. The average Muslim imam,
Hmm.
he does know about Islamic rulings. All right. So I at the time understood about Islamic rulings. Somebody who's mental health, okay, some certain things they is not obligatory on them and things like that, right?
Hmm.
But now dealing with them in the community, that's a whole different experience. How to pinpoint when somebody has a mental health issue and then how to deal with that person because you can't deal with them like a normal Muslim, right?
Hmm.
So that start meeting like I'm very honest. A lot of people who are mentally ill, they come to me. I go to the masjid, they see me, they know me, they come ask for help. I talk to some of them. Um, and then I start noticing, man, I hope I'm not crazy because they come wherever I go, wherever I'm working at in the masjid, the Muslim community, the people know me. They come, they ask for help, or I try to help them. Some of them need shelter. Some of them got problems with getting their medication. Some of
Hmm.
them have problems with their health care. Some of them, they have a lot of them have financial problem, even though they get a disability. I don't know. They spend all their money, you know. So I meet a lot of them working in the community, but I notice the general people who in the community don't know how to deal with them. They like shun them away, run them out the masjid. They treat them harsh. So I try not to be like this. Because one day I told one of them one day, a sister that because they on drugs and got mental health, so they be doing stealing. So one day I told the sister, yo, you and your husband can't stay in the mass shit right now. I ain't got nothing for you. I know the husband, he's on drugs, right? And I know they still. So when she left, I didn't know she was really looking for something. My wife at the time was saying that that lady was crying. When you said that, she was crying. I seen her on the woman's side crying. I said, yeah, our husband, this guy's a thief, and we caught him before.
Hmm.
So some people don't know how to deal with them, their situations. Then you have those from them who's on drugs and stuff like that. And then when they come to communicate and people talk with them, people shun them off. This is the big thing in the inner cities. This is a big issue. Like I know a sister right now. They come to me on Facebook. She is schizophrenia, right? And I tell her that she needs to she always fall into zina actually. So I told the sister one of her solutions could be because she's diagnosed with being schizophrenia, and I know people who are bipolar like her. Some of them have over sexualized, the best way to say it, right? So I told her the what she could do is go to the masjid, start communicating with the women in the community, and build a relationship with the women. But she's anti-social. So when she goes to the masjid, she says, the people don't want to talk to me there. I said, are you sure? Or you don't want to talk to the people there? So, and then she says that no one reaches out to her. And I said, what's the nationality? No one's black. She said they're mostly Indians, Desi Muslims, and Arabs. I said, okay, it could be true, but no one know how to treat them, and people might see something's wrong with them, but their communication skills and people who are saying don't know how to communicate. So, what's some solutions for people like this? Because trust me, I meet a lot of them wherever I go.
Well, one, you could stop saying you meet a lot of them.
Mm,
You know,
okay.
I meet people with mental health issues. Because when you say them, you're ostracizing them already. I meet
Mm,
them. That's like if you go into a community and a white person, if a white person came and be like, yeah, I tried to talk to them. What you gonna assume? Like, what you mean?
mm, gotcha.
Yeah. So let's, some I talk to some people who have mental health issues. They struggle with mental health concerns because they are not their mental health, just like I am not my skin color. Um,
Mm,
that's one is learning that, but the real thing is people need to learn how to treat themselves first. I can't expect you to show somebody respect and be respectful and inclusive when you're not respectful and inclusive of your own self. You don't even respect yourself. You doing things that put your own self in harm's way. Like I have a neighbor right now who she on Mother's Day she was arguing with this guy. She was like, "Yeah, my boyfriend and he smoked crack," and I'm like, "Why you with somebody? Which you got your own house, you got your own place, you got all this. You messing with somebody who is utilizing substances to cope with his emotions." But then why would I expect you to treat someone else kindly when you don't even know your own worth and being with somebody who would treat you kindly? So first, it always starts with our own self of getting the help that we need to value our own self. Then self-esteem. Um, People love that word, like you gotta raise your self-esteem. That's really not how it works. I call self-esteem others' esteem because how do people learn how to have self-esteem? You know how people learn how to have self-esteem.
How is that?
We pour in our children what they're good at. That's how it starts. When they're growing up, you're like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. You're good at math. You're good at writing. You're good at reading. You're good at this. This is amazing." And you basically build up your child. But if you tear them down, then they have low self-worth. So then they have to reparent themselves. So it starts there. First, as parents, we have to try not to put on our children our own baggage that we grew up with. That's one, to build their self-esteem. So when they grow, you ever realize, and I mean this with love, and I'm not saying this is true for everyone. You ever realize that women who are physically pretty to people, I'm going to say people because that's just because, they have lower self-esteem than women who don't.
Right, I noticed that. Yes.
And I think it's because when women and men have daughters that maybe not as pleasing to the eye, not always, I noticed that they be like, "Don't let nobody tell you nothing. You're pretty. You're this. You're that." So then they walk around like they hot shot. And I be like, "Go ahead, girl, do your thing." And then the ones who are pretty, you be like, and you like, she's always seeking attention. She always seeking this. Because then you will notice that when she was growing up, her mom be like, "Yeah, she thinks she cute, blah, blah, blah. And she need to sit her behind down somewhere. She too hot and she too fresh." And that's what we do. We don't even realize we tearing them down. So then you have these adults that's like who or keep looking for outside validation who are quote pleasing to the eye than those who are not, because we understand that that's true, but for some reason we have gotten far away from that. So one, you have to start with how we raising our children, but also two, starting to love ourselves. If we didn't get that, to start reparenting ourselves, to love ourselves, because when we start to love ourselves, we get to love other people. And you cannot say that you love your neighbor who may have a mental health condition. I mean, you can't say that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you love his messenger when you can't even love the person that you see that's right next door.
Correct. Correct.
Like, I'm sorry. That just doesn't even make sense to me. And
I was saying that also go with the argument. I just want to say for people on Facebook, my associates and friends, people follow. There's some brothers that say, I don't want to marry a sister with kids, right? They are burdened. So, sister with kids, they're worthless. And I was letting some brothers know, well, those Muslim kids, they're your brothers in Islam. They have honor. So when you saying these things, you're talking about Muslim children also. So that I'm thinking about when you just said it's also answers that. Continue, please. I mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Okay, I think that was very important too to say something like that. And you have to. So yeah, it start with you. You have kids, instilling on them that, because when people who love themselves, they're more loving to other people. I can only dish out what's in me. If I'm miserable, mean, and all that, if I'm miserable, how can you expect me to be happy with other people? I can't. That's really difficult. And if I am doing that, because I do know some people who are like miserable on the inside, but when you meet them in public, They seem all happy. However, over time, they get more miserable. And who get impacted are the children and the people that's what's inside the home.
Mm.
You know, the ones that, oh, they so nice in the public, and then in the home they abusive. Is those people. You know, so that's number one. You got to do that. But then one of the things that I tell people all the time, because we had this, you know, in America, they always say, "Oh, treat people how you want to be treated." I don't do that. And I know you
Mm.
might be like, why would you? I treat people how they want to be treated,
Mm.
and that requires that I get to know them.
Mm.
Your likes, your dislikes. Now, initially, I might treat you how I want to be treated, like general respect that everybody have. But even still, general respect may be to me, may not be to you, because I know in some cultures, uh, I know in a part of Asian culture, I can't remember which one, looking someone in the eye is disrespect. But
Mm.
I won't know that until I get to know them. And then in America, not looking somebody in the eye, I mean, you're lying. So
Mm.
it's important to get to know people. And I know it was another culture that if you
It's from the Sunnah really not to look people's in the eye.
no,
Lower your gaze a little bit. Even men with men a little bit in Islam.
but you
And
know,
definitely with women, definitely. The men with women, definitely, you don't look them in the eyes and stuff like that. But in America, people take that as disrespect, especially women. Oh, you don't like women because you're not looking me in my face and stuff like that. People, yes, okay. Mm.
or I know it's one culture that if you show the bottom of your feet towards them, that's disrespectful. And so it requires that you really get to know people. But you know what? You got to be open to the feedback. Hey, you know, in my culture, that's disrespectful, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And be okay with it and be open to those things. And when you are open like that, when people who have mental health issues come and say, "Hey, I don't like to be treated this way," it gives you some concessions. But also, it doesn't mean though that you have to deal with all of their behavior, because again, they're not stupid. They just have some mental health issues, and sometimes it might be like, "Hey, let's have this conversation." You still have to get the appropriate help that you may need, especially people who like have personality disorders. You got to get the help that you need, and if you
You
don't want
know,
help,
like I don't mean to cut you off, but I can remember another scenario with a different person. I never knew they had a mental health issue until one day I seen them. It's Salah. It's Salah. We're about to pray Eid. It's a sister, and she walks up in front of me. You know how homeless people are homeless in the streets?
mm-hmm.
How their clothes are? She looked just like that. And she said her hair was crazy. And she said, talking about something crazy. And I was like, it's like, it's a lot? And I was like, and then I seen her normal like a couple of months ago. And then I was talking to her. She came back to the masjid and I was talking with her later on after. And she's like, her husband put sihr on her and she lost her children. But reality, she has schizophrenia and she refused to take the medication.
Yeah, that
And
happens.
because of that, one of her children they found him on a train. He's like 8 years old.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then the community, when these people come to the Muslim community, in this particular community, people don't want to help them. The people board masjids, the boards of masjid. That's why I told myself I really don't never want to work for a masjid. I'd rather start my own thing, because the board, a lot of masjid, if those people can't bring in money through donations, they don't care about them. All right. So how you deal with people like this, and because when you start to talk with them,
Who's people like
I'm
this?
sorry, how you deal with people who have issues, mental health issues, refusing to take medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them in the conversations when we sit down, Islamic Q&A, I show them it's permissible to take those psych meds.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them would tell me they need a ruqiyah. I say, okay, it's permissible to do ruqiyah and take psych medication. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They would tell me, no, my husband put the sihr on me, and I don't need the medication. I just need the ruqiyah. We do ruqiyah. They don't get no response from it. how you deal with the peoples who are refusing
Who is the
to get,
people?
or the individuals in the community who have mental health who needs help. Thank you for correcting my language.
The thing about it is, you got to think about, if I have schizophrenia, right? A lot of times I have delusions, so it's not reality. So it's even more that you have to be patient, that that's not real. So I like, and a lot of people who do have schizophrenia, a lot of times they have delusions of persecution. So delusions of persecution and things like that are really, really hard for people to realize that they got an issue. It's easier when people have delusions where they hear stuff but don't see it. Like those are easier. But when they have like delusions of persecution and all those kinds of things, I tell people all the time, a lot of times people that have delusions, their delusions are usually based in some type of reality. And I know you might be like, how the heck is that? So I'm gonna give you an example with this one person that I knew who they was like, my family poisoning me. My family is poisoning me. And I'm like, really? Your family poisoning you? But again, I told you I always have that the idea that is always some truth in it. Come to find out, the family was putting their medication in their food. Now, to them, you're poisoning me. You putting something in my food that I don't know what it is. You're trying to poison me. It was this other guy who he used to come to a group. It was one of my friends. He used to say that people was following him. That was like his delusion. That the army was going to come get him. They was following him and blah, blah, blah. Then one day he got arrested. Yeah, the police was following you. What's the army? It was the
Oh,
police.
got you. I got you. I got you.
So it's a lot of times it is based in some type of reality. So again, it's always there, being inquisitive. But what sometimes people don't know too is that a lot of the psych meds, the ones that do realize that they wind up having a problem, they start taking psych medications. The medications be so harsh on their bodies and they get sick, so they don't want to take it. And instead of like saying like, oh, go take medication, say, hey, the next time you go to an appointment, no, I can't, I might not be able to be there physically, but hey, like, let me be there to advocate for you with your doctor. Because it may be, hey, doctor, she's not taking her medication. I did talk to her. She said it's making her feel this way. That's why she stopped. Is there some another option? Because a lot of times they're not going to say that because they don't think it's another option, because people don't show up to their appointments with them. People don't advocate for them. And one thing about doctors is they're going to push whatever they think that they want to. They're not going to listen to the person when they say, I don't feel well. I don't feel like myself. I feel like a zombie. Because a lot of times they become zombie-like too, where it's just like there's no semblance of what they used to be, and it's a hardship. So not saying that you have to be the only person, but having a team of people that if they came through the door, it's like, okay, I know with such and such, or I know such and such. Every time October come, because her mom died in October, she stopped taking her meds. Let's get her some make sure she has support around October to make sure that she keeps taking her meds. I know, and this is why I say it's important to get to know people. I know Judy down the street. She started taking her meds, but we know every 4 months she feels like she's doing so much better and that she's cured. She no longer needs the medication. So it's January now. So in March, let's start having some people around her to make sure that she's continuing her medication. Once she get over that hump, put her inside a support group that we know for sisters that take medications, and whatever the case may be, that may be helpful for the person. So again, it's about getting to know the people that's there, and when you get to know them, you can anticipate their needs when you get to know them. So like, it's just,
So making it some type of support team. I'll keep that in my mind now. Next time I'm in that type of, if I'm in that particular again, working in these communities, I know exactly what to do. So make like
yeah.
a support.
Mm-hmm.
Or what up now? Now I know we got a little bit off topic, but I
Not
really
really,
want to know.
not really. And the reason why is because this is all still about communicating with the entire people. Because if I know, again, like say if I have a group of people where I know Susie, Joe, Milan, whoever, they have mental health issues. So then I have my group of people where I'll be like, hey, once a month, we're going to go around to these individuals' houses, make sure that they have their bare necessities. Hey, do you got your medications? Hey, do you got soap, rag, blah, 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 blah. Make sure you have all these essential basic needs being there. Is there anything that I can do for you? But because when you do that, and it makes people feel like you care, it makes them less likely to want to go for their medications too, because they want to continue to have the interaction with other people.